He was used to getting whatever he wanted: money, power, women. But when I came into his life, everything changed. He thought I'd be just another chapter, easy to forget. What he didn't know was that I was about to give him a love that would keep him tied to me forever. If you're here right now, I want you to lean in and listen closely, because what I'm about to share with you is more than just a story. It's a journey about strength, love, and the kind of connection that nobody saw coming. This isn't one of those easy, predictable tales. It's about breaking down walls, defying expectations, and showing what it really means to be unforgettable. I promise, by the time you hear the whole story, you'll understand why sometimes love can't be walked away from, no matter who you are or what you have. So, if you've ever been underestimated or made to feel like you're just another face in the crowd, this story is for you. Stick around with me because the twists and turns ahead might surprise you. It's not just about a billionaire falling for a woman. It's about the power of being true to yourself and never settling for anything less than you deserve. Before we dive deeper, I want to ask you to do something for me. If you believe that love really can break through any barrier, that it's worth fighting for, then hit that like button. If you want to hear more stories like this, stories that remind us all why strength and heart matter most, then please subscribe and turn on notifications. And hey, if this story moves you or reminds you of someone you know, drop a comment below. Let's start a conversation about love that defies the odds. Now, let's get into it. I still remember the night we met like it was yesterday. It was one of those fancy charity events. You know, the kind where people are dressed to the nines and conversations float around like champagne bubbles. I wasn't supposed to be there, honestly. I went because a friend dragged me along, thinking it'd be fun to mix things up. I had no idea that night would change everything. He stood across the room, the kind of man who commands attention without saying a word. Tall, sharp suit, that effortless confidence that comes with having the world at your fingertips. But there was something more. Something guarded, like he wasn't just there to enjoy the party, but was carrying a weight only he understood. At first glance, I felt nothing but curiosity. He seemed so far removed from my world. When our eyes met, I saw a flicker of surprise, maybe even doubt. He probably thought I was just another face in the crowd, someone easy to overlook, someone who wouldn't stick around long, but I wasn't going to be that easy to forget. I smiled, not because I wanted his attention, but because I knew I wasn't like anyone he'd met before. He approached, the way billionaires do, smooth, confident, almost rehearsed. But the moment I spoke, things shifted. I wasn't about to play the part he expected. I was honest, real, and maybe a little too bold for his taste at first. We talked about everything but the usual small talk: life, challenges, dreams. I could tell he wasn't used to that, and maybe that's what caught him off guard. That night, something unexpected happened. The powerful, untouchable man I thought I knew started to look like someone willing to lower his guard, just a little. And me, I realized I was already curious about what lay beneath his polished exterior. Looking back, that night was the first page of a story neither of us could have predicted. What started as a chance meeting would soon become a journey neither of us wanted to forget. After that night, we started seeing each other more, not the usual dinner and drinks kind of dates, but moments that felt real and raw. He was curious about me, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't just about how I looked or what I could offer. He wanted to understand me. That was new for him, and honestly, it was new for me too. I could tell he'd been through a lot. Behind that billionaire status was a man who carried walls built from years of disappointment and guarded secrets. But instead of backing away, I leaned in. I didn't want to be just another fleeting distraction or a pretty face to add to his list. I wanted to break through those walls. It wasn't always easy. There were moments when he tested me, pushing boundaries, maybe even expecting me to fall in line with his world. The parties, the expensive gifts, the shallow conversations. But I wasn't there for any of that. I challenged him in ways no one had before, asking questions he hadn't thought about in years. I spoke honestly about my own struggles, my dreams, and what I truly wanted from life and love. Slowly, I saw cracks in his armor. He started opening up about his fears, his loneliness despite the crowds around him. The billionaire who once seemed so untouchable was learning to be vulnerable. And it wasn't just about him, it was about us. Our worlds, so different at first, were beginning to blend. The way he looked at me changed too. No longer just a curiosity or a passing interest, I became someone he wanted to know deeply. I wasn't here to be easy or forgotten. I was here to be seen and valued for who I really was. Those early days were filled with tough conversations and moments where I had to remind myself why I stayed. But every time I thought about walking away, something about him held me close. Not his money or status, but the man underneath it all who was starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, he deserved love like mine. Breaking those barriers wasn't simple, but it was real, and that's what made all the difference. Things weren't always smooth between us. As our connection grew deeper, the pressures around him started to show. And honestly, it shook me. You see, being with a billionaire isn't just about the two of you. There are expectations, whispers, and a world that's quick to judge. I wasn't prepared for all of that. From the outside, people saw a powerful man with everything anyone could want. But inside, he was battling doubts, fears, and the weight of his own reputation. His circle wasn't exactly welcoming to someone like me, a woman who came from a different world, who didn't fit the mold of what they thought he should be with. There were rumors, sideways glances, and the constant feeling that I was being tested, judged, even pushed out. It hurt, more than I thought it would. I had my own pride, my own battles to fight. I wasn't going to be anyone's second choice or a secret to hide behind. There were moments I questioned if I was strong enough to stand beside him in a world that wasn't built for people like me. I thought about walking away more than once. The pain of being underestimated, doubted, and misunderstood weighed heavy. At the same time, he was struggling too. I saw the cracks in his confidence, the moments he'd stare off into space like he was wrestling with something he couldn't say out loud. I knew the expectations he faced, from family, from business, from himself. And I wondered if he was ready to fight for what we had, or if the pressure would push him away. But I wasn't about to let this story end in heartbreak. I believed in us, in the love that had started to grow despite all the odds. So I stood firm. I made it clear I wasn't going anywhere, no matter how tough it got. I told him that love isn't about running when things get hard, it's about standing together through the storm. There were tough conversations, some heated, some quiet but heavy. I had to remind him that real love doesn't care about money or status. It cares about truth, respect, and loyalty. And slowly, those words began to sink in. I also had to remind myself who I was. I wasn't just a woman who could be tossed aside when things got complicated. I was someone with dreams, strength, and a heart that refused to be broken by fear or doubt. I realized that sometimes love means fighting, not just for the other person, but for yourself too. Those moments of conflict, of almost giving up, became the foundation of something stronger. Because love that's easy isn't worth having. The love that lasts is the love that survives the hardest battles. And that's exactly what I was willing to give him. There was a moment, a single moment, when everything changed between us. I could see it in his eyes, the way they softened when he looked at me. It wasn't just admiration or attraction anymore. It was something deeper, something raw and real. That's when I knew he wasn't going to walk away. Up until then, I think he was holding on with one foot out the door, scared of what love could mean for him. Maybe he thought love would tie him down, make him vulnerable, or strip away the control he was used to having. But I showed him a different kind of love, one that doesn't ask you to give up your power, but invites you to share it. It wasn't some grand gesture or a perfect moment. It was in the little things. The way he listened when I talked about my dreams, the way he held my hand when the world felt heavy, and the quiet times when no words were needed. He started trusting me with parts of himself he'd never shown anyone before. That turning point came after a night where we faced our fears together. We talked about the rumors, the pressure, the doubts, everything we'd been avoiding. For the first time, he admitted he was scared. Scared of losing himself, scared of being hurt, scared of what people would say. But he also said something that stayed with me, that he couldn't imagine a life without me in it. That moment broke down every wall. It was raw, honest, and imperfect. But it was real, and that's what love is supposed to be. From there, everything shifted. The billionaire who once seemed untouchable became a man willing to fight for us, not just behind closed doors, but openly. He started introducing me to his world, not as an accessory or a secret, but as the woman who changed him. And I started seeing him not just as a figure of wealth and power, but as someone capable of deep love and growth. We found common ground, balancing our differences instead of letting them pull us apart. I taught him about resilience and pride that isn't tied to money or status, and he showed me that vulnerability can be a strength, not a weakness. Together, we built something neither of us expected, a partnership rooted in respect, trust, and fierce love. That turning point wasn't the end of our struggles, but it was the beginning of a new chapter, one where love wasn't just a fleeting feeling, but a force that changed everything. And honestly, that's what made all the difference. Looking back on everything, it's wild to think how far we've come. Our love isn't some fairy tale or a simple success story. It's messy, real, and full of moments where we had to choose each other again and again, even when it wasn't easy. But that's what makes it so powerful. Being with him changed me in ways I didn't expect. I'm not just the girl he met at a charity event anymore. I'm a woman who's learned to stand taller, speak louder, and believe in her worth. Not because of his money or status, but because of who I am. And I like to think I did the same for him. I gave him a love that wasn't about perfection or convenience. It was about truth, strength, and loyalty. A love that could hold him when he felt broken and push him when he doubted himself. People sometimes ask me what it's like being with a billionaire. They imagine the glitz, the glam, the endless luxury. And yes, those things are there. But the real story is about what's underneath all that. The man who had everything except the kind of love that grounds you, challenges you, and makes you better. I think that's why he couldn't walk away, because I wasn't easy to forget. I was the woman who saw him, really saw him, and wasn't afraid to call him out, to hold him accountable, and to love him fiercely no matter what. I was the one who believed in us when no one else did. Our love now is different from anything I imagined. It's built on respect for each other's struggles and dreams. It's about walking hand in hand through challenges, knowing we've got each other's backs. It's about growth, both individually and together. And yes, it's about joy too, the kind that comes from being truly seen and valued. I hope this story reminds you that love isn't about being easy or perfect. It's about being real and relentless. It's about fighting for the people who see your worth, even when the world tries to tell you otherwise. If you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated, remember this. You are not someone to forget. You are worthy of a love that stays, that fights, and that changes everything. Sometimes the love you give is the very thing that changes not just a person's heart, but their entire world. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, inspired you, or made you believe in love a little more today, please share your thoughts below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that remind us all what real love looks like. So here we are. After everything, what I want you to remember most is this. Love isn't about being easy to forget. It's about being unforgettable. It's about standing your ground, being true to yourself, and showing up even when the odds are stacked against you. Our story wasn't perfect, but it was real. And sometimes real is exactly what makes all the difference. I gave him a love he couldn't walk away from, not because I chased after him or tried to fit into a mold, but because I stayed true to who I was. And that kind of love, it's powerful. It changes everything. If you're watching this and wondering if you're enough or if someone will truly see you, trust me, you are. You're worth the fight, you're worth the time, and you're worth a love that stands tall no matter what comes your way. Thank you for listening to my story, for believing in the kind of love that defies expectations and breaks down walls. If this story moved you, if it gave you hope, or if it reminded you to never settle, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that inspire and uplift. Remember, your story is still being written, and the love that changes everything might just be waiting around the corner, maybe in the most unexpected places. Stay strong, stay true, and never let anyone make you feel easy to forget.